All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to lesson number 26. This is part 2. In part 1, we talked about the processes and whatnot behind automatically or setting up an automated system of backing up your databases as well as securing them. So now I'm going to actually walk you through the process. So first things first, I'll flip over to my, command line here. So you can see I've already navigated to my SQL Server bin directory. And I'm going to perform a dump. I'm going to do a MySQL dump. I'm going to give it the username. And I'm going to give it a password. Now, I'm hoping that I can do this without actually typing in my password. Otherwise, I have to just blur out my password on screen. But let me see if this works. So I believe a database name I have is test123. So I want to take that database and I want to move it into a file, which I will call test123 underscore backup.sql. So let me see if this works. I'm going to hit enter. Say, there you go. So it says access is denied because I did not specify a password. So I'll type in the password and I just have to, blur it out for you guys so you don't see it, like so. And now I will execute this command. And, ooh, that's interesting. It says that my access is denied. That's funny. Okay, interesting. Let me take a moment to figure out why the access is denied. Okay, so after a bunch of trial and error here, what I had to do was I had to give it an actual good path. So I had not included the full location of the file that I wanted to actually, create and back up. So what I have done here is I had made a whole bunch of attempts beforehand, which I'm just blurring out all those other attempts because they have a bunch of passwords that I was trying. So these are all blurred out, but what ended up working was, like I said, I hadn't specified the actual correct path. So when you just type in the name of the file all on its own, so if I just typed in test123 backup.sql, it would try to put it into the folder that you're already in, which in this case was my bin folder of my SQL Server. So apparently it's just not allowed to, I wasn't allowed to put a file into that particular folder. So instead I just pointed it to my downloads folder on my own computer, and then it worked. So then it said, okay, using a password on the command line, it may not be, may be insecure, because obviously you're using a password on a command line, which is, not good if someone were to be hooked up to your own internet as well. If someone was on your Wi-Fi router or something like that, they could maybe sniff that password. In any case, I know no one else is connected to my router, so I can put the password in the command line. It's just fine. And then it took about, I don't know, how long was that? Maybe about 30 seconds or so to actually back up all the data. And that was because I have the one transactions table that was very large. It had over 5 million rows in it. In any case, now it has created that file, okay? So, and now I can go on to, into that directory and actually find this SQL file. So give me a moment and I'm actually going to open up the SQL file for you. 1 second. All right, so as you can see here, it's actually created a SQL file, okay? And it says, my SQL dump, and it gives all this sort of information about, the host and the database and all that stuff. And then you see how it'll actually go through and create the tables. So it actually goes through and creates all the tables that existed inside of this particular database that I was backing up. So it goes through all that first, and then once it has created the actual tables, let me see if I can find out some more information about the transactions itself that it's going to be inserting. And there you go. So it's loading slowly, but these are the actual lines for creating the actual transactions that exist inside of the database. Okay, so there's going to be a whole bunch of these transaction lines, and the Notepad++ program is having trouble because I'm assuming these are very long lines in particular. So if I were to hit the end key to try to see how long this line is, it looks like the length of one of these lines is around, what is this? Just over 1 million characters in size. Okay, that's how big these particular lines of codes are. They're over 1 million characters in length. And my computer is chugging along trying to process all of them. So there's a lot of information here, and this file is obviously very big. So, doing a copy paste on this file and putting it into something like your own, SQL IDE like Toad would be a little bit of pain. So that's why we rely on using the existing commands for recreating the database. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to now execute the line of, let me first clear the screen. I'm going to execute the actual code needed to take that file and actually make use of it. Okay, so let me just make sure I know where the file is. It's called test123 backup in my downloads directory. Okie dokie. So I'm going to say MySQL, and again, I'm going to say, the information I need to log into my database. I'll have to blur out the password again. And now what I can do is I can give it a name of a database that I want to create. So I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but I'm just going to give it a name of a database that doesn't yet exist. So I'm going to say test instead of 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say 4, 5, 6. Okay, that one does not exist yet. And I'm going to make sure I have the arrow pointed in the right direction. So I'm moving the information from the file into the database. So I'm using a less than sign. And now I will give it the location of the file, which is in users, Trevor/download/test 123 _ backup.sql. So barring any unforeseen circumstances, this should work. If it doesn't, then I'm going to go through the same process of trial and error to see if it works or not. So let's cross our fingers, hit enter, and sure enough, it says unknown database. So okay, fair enough. You need to actually have a database created in order to do this first. So then, okay, fine. We can say MySQL. We can log into our actual database. And I'll just say create database test, 456, like so. There you go. So the database has been created. I'm going to quit the MySQL command line. I'm going to go back and execute my backup, which brings it into the test456 directory from the test123 backup file, and hit enter. And sure enough, now it's actually doing the work that it needs to be doing to recreate this database that was previously called test123, and it's being populated into the new database called test456, which we can kind of think of that as being perhaps the test123 database became corrupted, so we had to delete the whole thing. So this is kind of like it's mimicking the process of recreating that actual database for you. So I'm not exactly sure how long this one will take. Like I said, it was about 30 seconds to back it up, but it might take a lot longer to actually create it, because I suppose there's more going on behind the scenes when creating the database. But I assure you, this is indeed creating the database in the background, even though it looks like it's not doing anything. It's certainly doing something, because once it's done, you'll see you'll have access to the regular old sort of command prompt again, where you'll be able to execute some sort of a command on the sort of DOS shell or whatever. So clearly it's doing something right now, and plus I can hear my computer sort of chugging in the background, which you guys cannot. So I know it's definitely doing something. So while that is working, I'm going to use this opportunity to teach you guys about how to set up the automated task scheduler, okay? So I'm going to, I'm on a Windows 8 system, so I need to use the Windows key Q to open up a search. But if you're not on a Windows 8 system, then you can just click on your Start button and type in the name of the thing that you're looking for, which is the task scheduler. So, and again, my computer's chugging, so let's see, task, let me go to Schedule Tasks, which should open up the task scheduler if I'm not mistaken. Give it some time to think about what it is that it needs to do. There you go. So it's opened up the task scheduler. So that's great. Now what we can do is I want to create something called a basic task. Okay, so I'm going to click on that to create a basic task. And the actual layout that you'll see might be slightly different, but you'll be able to see somewhere where you can actually click on a create basic task. Maybe it's in the file menu or action or something like that, but you should be able to actually click on that and do it. So then it's going to open up this prompt where you can actually create your task. So I'm going to give it a name. So the name doesn't really matter, but it can, give it a name that makes sense to you. So mine will be, automated DB backups or something like that. And if you like, you can give it a description. I think you can leave this blank if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. There you go. So then there you go. So now we can have the actual the trigger on it. So you can say daily, weekly, monthly, one time when the computer starts, when I log on, when a specific event is logged, and so on and so forth. So for me, I'm just going to say daily because I usually like to back up my databases daily. So I'll say next. And there you go. So right now it's September 25th as of the recording of this. And I can specify the time. So maybe I'll say at 12 p.m. my time every day. This is when I will run this, and I'll say recur every 1 day. You can say recur every 2 days, every 3 days, 4, whatever you like, but I'll do it every 1 day because I want it to run every single day. So there you go. Now I can say next. And the action, obviously, you can see what is it you can do, but obviously the one that hasn't been deprecated is how to start a program. So I'm going to actually have it start a program, which is, like I said, my batch file. I'll say next, and then I can actually give it the file that I want to run. So if I were to go, let's pretend I'd already created a batch file. So like I said, I've just created a file on my hard drive, and it's a .bat file. I would just type in the location of it, or click browse and browse to the location of this file. Okay, and put it in here, and then there you go. That's now pointed to the batch file, and then you would say next and finish, and you're done. Now you have your Windows is automatically every day running this batch file, which is going to invoke the backup, the MySQL dump command inside of the batch file. Like I said, you can go back to the presentation, and you'll see exactly what lines you should paste in. I guess I could do that for you right now. Why not? Let me go to my backups slides and find out where it was that I was talking about. Here it is. So these are would be the two lines that I would put into my .bat file that I would create, and that's it. That's all I would put in that file, and that's what it would be. Like I said, .bat file. I called it dbbackups.bat, and those would be the two commands that would actually be able to create my backup appropriately. Now, obviously, I would make sure I would want you to execute the commands first on your own manually. So just like I did, you see I ran into a problem with mine. So make sure that you can actually run it manually first and it works before you go and create a batch file and put it into the automated system. Because then if your automated system is running, but it's not actually creating any backups, you might not realize it until you actually look into your, I don't know, Dropbox folder or wherever it is that you're pointing your backup file, and you would see it and realize that it's not actually creating any backups, then you'd have a problem. So make sure that you test it first manually and then put it into your batch file with whatever it was that you tested that worked, and you are good to go. Cool? So now let's flip back and see if our program is done running. I'll close this. So it looks like now it's done. So you see now I have access to type in some commands, whereas before I couldn't on my DOS shell or my command prompt window. So now it is done recreating the database. So if I were to go to my Toad environment, and let me just close some of these windows because we don't need them open. And if I were to connect to the database, oh boy, my computer's taking its sweet time now. Let me see. Okie dokie. There we go. So if I were to go and file new editor, now I should hopefully be able to go to, instead of test 1, 2, 3, let me refresh the list, and I see test 4, 5, 6. So let me go to that one, and let me go to that one here as well. And when it refreshes, sure enough, I have all of these tables inside of test 4, 5, 6, which is exactly what I had inside of test 1, 2, 3. So this is a complete recreation of test 1, 2, 3. And if I say select star from transactions inside of test 4, 5, 6, which is the database that I've recreated, and hit F5, sure enough, I'm going to get 5 million, over 5 million rows in here, because this is what was backed up and now has been recreated. So that's really, really cool stuff. You now have the power to be able to automatically create a backup of your databases into the cloud, which is stored securely, and you know how to do it on a completely automated, hands-free way, and you know how to recreate it from the backup file. If, heaven forbid, something were to go wrong and you were to lose your database, you know how to recreate your database from that file. Okay? Excellent. So, as I said, hopefully you enjoyed this entire tutorial series. It's been an absolute pleasure teaching you guys. As I said, there will be bonus videos after this available. If you signed up via dbvideotutorials.com, they will be most likely in the bonus folder or bonus tab. If you sign up for this, who knows in the future when I don't even know what I'm going to do with this course, but maybe you signed up for this course somewhere else. I believe the bonus videos will be still available via the dbvideotutorials.com website. So there should be some sort of information there that will be able to guide you on how to actually get access to those bonus videos if I did not include them wherever it is that you are watching this video tutorial series. All right. And again, like I said, if you have any questions, if you run into any problems, you can email me directly at trevor@javavideotutorials.net. All right. So again, been a pleasure. Thank you so much for signing up. Thank you so much for going through this and being a student, hopefully a great student. And I hope that you have learned a lot in this course and you can take this knowledge and go out there and dominate with it. All right, that is the goal. Hopefully you can manage that, and I look forward to seeing you again perhaps sometime in the future as a part of one of my other courses. So take care of yourself. Bye for now, and absolutely happy learning because it's going to be a lot of fun. So take care of yourselves. Bye now.